All right, then the president's speech. Who wants to hear a speech? Okay. All right. It has to be good. All right. All right. I'm just gonna begin. For the past 2 years, I've had the great privilege to serve as the president of the Electronic Game Developer Society. And honestly, I think it's very rare that someone gets the privilege to lead something that they're so passionate about. So throughout my times at EGaDS, up to this point, I've at least made like over a dozen games. But I want to take you back first to one of my earliest game dev experiences. So if you don't know me, hello, my name is Zayaan. My journey in game development really got started in 2020 in the days of COVID, where I started one of my biggest projects to date called Super Mario Magnum Opus. Who here knows about that game? Okay. So basically, if you don't know, this is a premise explanation I've given 1,000 times till now. It's a Mario fan game where he has a gun, and whenever he shoots that gun, the recoil will blast him into the opposite direction. So there's cool platforming puzzles, lots of fun, worlds to explore. So I spent 2 years developing that game, completely solo, programming, and then, the art and music. Well, some of that was borrowed and stuff. But, I spent about 2 years releasing it in 2022 spring during my senior year of high school. So, and I think that game will always hold a special place in my heart because it's where a lot of the, wonders of game development were like kind of introduced to me, right? There's a lot of fun in the designing mechanics, things like that. And like also the thrill of marketing the game, seeing people play it. One time my brother like sent me a random YouTuber from Mexico who was playing my game, and I was like, that's really cool. And I was like, I did not expect that. And that guy has like 1 million subs. Anyways, so I also, more importantly, I wrote my main UT Austin College essay about developing this game. So it's in a way, it's because of that game that I'm here today. Something inherent about game development is I think it's a very isolating experience. No matter what your craft is, whether it's programming, art, music, sound, you're spending a lot of time by yourself honing in on your craft, right? So that's why I think it's important to have communities like EGaDS, because it shows that you're not like alone in your dreams and efforts when you're making a game. I remember, a lot of times when I was developing Mario Magnum Opus or just any game, sometimes there's doubts that come where you're like, is what I'm doing really worth it? I'm working on this game while people are, socializing, do this and that. You're focused on like this thing for so much. Is it actually worth it? So I think that's the power of communities like EGaDS. There's other people to learn from, other people to collaborate with, and ideas to explore. And before I got to campus, I definitely knew I wanted to get into EGaDS, but I also wanted to explore some of the other organizations here. But oftentimes I felt, oftentimes I would say in CS, given my background, I feel like a lot of people do what they think that they should be doing and not what they actually want to do. I feel like a lot of people operate out of a sense of fear of, I need to do this because it's an easy class or because of, this grade, or they want to do an org because it looks good and will do, this career thing that my parents or friends tell me to do. So, because like there's countless times where I talk to someone outside of EGaDS where I'm like, hey, this is what I do. And they're like, oh, I really am interested in game development. But it's just something that it's a passion that they've never actually like explored. So I think everyone in EGaDS is chasing something that they actually love. Everyone has their own world, their own interests that they hold close to them. And that's what makes everything so inspiring and lively. Not everyone is striving for the same exact goal, but everyone has a distinct goal that they want to pursue or a person that they want to become. So here at EGaDS, over time I got more involved. So first year I was a junior officer. Second year I was main events officer. And then I began my presidency in spring of 2024, about 2 years ago now. And there's a lot I've learned since becoming president. So one is to don't listen to noise, because just like kind of a story is, well, I remember one time I had a friend of mine mock EGaDS events because I think he went to one of them and he said, oh, so at this next event, is there going to be a grand total of 2 people, and is the food going to be pizza again? So like obviously, so it was like one of our slower events, and obviously not all events are like that, as proof right here. Obviously it's jokes, but still when I heard things like that, there's like a sense of shame and like a feeling of inadequacy in what I was doing. But at the same time, my resolve strengthened. I was determined to prove him wrong, that our events could become bustling like never before. And eventually we did. What did that lead to? Well, that was about a year ago now, and that was around when GDC Squared 2025 happened, an official South by Southwest event, including hundreds of attendees, including that same friend who attended that event. And he told me, wow, my friends from outside of UT heard about this and wanted to come. So damn, y'all really got people here. So, and another example I'd just like to mention, So I remember in Texas Game Jam this last year, there's a guy from Chilenium. If you don't know, that's a game jam at Texas A&M. They usually are known as the biggest game jam, and they came over, and then we actually saw that we, did way better than them. This is the first time we beat them, and we became the largest game jam in the country, a student-run game jam. And then he came in and said, "Hey, I saw what you guys did. You dissed Chilenium. So come to Chilenium and try to beat us." So we ended up having a trip to Chilenium, and not my own team, but a team with some of our officers actually won at Chilenium. So we kind of just said, "Hey, we'll just take a win." And that game jam, they still claim that they're the biggest, but it's really not. But so that's all about don't listen to noise, focus on your own craft. And the second thing is learn to let go. I would consider myself an ambitious person, and I think a lot of people here are probably also. But with ambition comes a lot of expectations and a need to control things. And early on, I felt like being a good leader was making sure things went right. Every detail, every outcome, every event. And that part is true. You want to have these things go well. But you should, you should care about outcomes. But I get stressed sometimes when things didn't go as planned and try to control every piece of it. And that's where I was wrong. There were times either in EGaDS or like in game jams or elsewhere where I would care a lot about something, but others weren't on that level of care. Times when like my passion I gave out and that was not returned to me. So that's something that can be very frustrating. But you learn that you can't control everything. Things will cancel. Things will be up in the air. Things will get delayed. You can't force people to care as much as you do. And that doesn't mean either of you is wrong. It's just how it is. And that's something you have to accept. So once you learn to let go of the need to control, you'll make space for other people to lead and show care in their own ways. And I think as I step down, of course, there's definitely a sense of change. And I know a lot of times things can be bittersweet, but I think more than anything, I'm probably excited more than anything because I know Josh, Crystal, and the rest of the next year's officer team are going to do amazing things. I've seen how they work more, for the past 2 years at most. But most importantly, I think that their love for EGaDS is completely true and great. So I think the heart of EGaDS is what drew me to it in the first place, the people here, and it's the reason I've stayed here. And I know that they'll carry that forward into the future. But now it's time to say goodbye, at least as your president. This org has given me more than anything I could have ever asked for, and a journey that the kid that was making his first Unity game during COVID would never have imagined. So it's been an honor to serve you. Thank you.